Welcome to another episode of Standard Issues Behind the Scenes. Jimmy Garecki, Jared Lee. Today's episode is deep. Just to find that momentarily ago. Like to start every episode with some sort of context and backstory into how this whole thing came to be. This is a good one, Jared.
Yep.
10 years ago, I get a call from my friend and he goes, bro, Nike's doing a flag football league.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to join? And I'm like, a Nike flag football league sounds incredible. So they have a combine, which is where they measure everyone's athletic ability and skills. They're testing your speed, how good you can catch the ball. And do that to USC.
Pretty serious.
Then later on, they host a very nice draft party.
Okay.
Open bar, food. It's kind of like a sexy day, late afternoon, evening thing at a spot on La Cienega, right near where I forget the name of the spot. It used to be like a popping club way back in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
That's how old I am. So they do the draft. And then they have the games. They pick all of the influencers of that time period to be like head coaches and team owners and stuff. And then they have the games. They host the games at Fairfax High. The first game is like super interactive. There's booths everywhere. There's games. Long story short, the shit was a party. I guess when they cleared it out, there were just bottles everywhere. So through that, you show up to the game to be like Wale out there, YG, Michael B. Jordan. It was pretty interesting. And in that experience, you met a lot of people. One of the individuals I was lucky enough to be on the team with was our guest today.
Yep. Besidone.
Amoruwa.
Yeah.
So, and we're, at that point, we're all coming from different places. Obviously 2014, the connectivity of social media is there, but it's not nearly as powerful as it is today. So even people with social media presence, it still felt, you still felt worlds away, but it was awesome that all these years later, we've remained friends.
Yeah.
Who was the coach and owner of our team? Mr. Stephen Malbon of Malbon Golf.
Okay.
So how did you get involved with that?
Oh man. I think it was definitely through my cousin Alero. I saw it. She was working there at Nike at the time. And I'm extremely competitive. And I played flag football or powder puff in college.
Oh, get out of here.
I was like, oh, I really want to do this. Like, this will be a lot of fun. So I signed up and I was drafted.
I was
at the party.
Drafted. Yeah, I actually missed the party.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because I was traveling.
The party was actually kind of
sad. It was.
I wasn't mad at the party.
Yeah, but it was crazy because I was like, how am I? I'm on this team and I didn't know any of my team members, so I just show up happy face, hey guys, I'm gonna play, and all right, you're gonna play defense because I could rush and I could pull a flag. Asked me to catch. It's another story. But yeah, it was cool. And I'm like, who are you? Okay, hi, nice to meet you. And then I'm looking people up and I was like, these guys are legends. What? I'm playing with pro skateboarder and
Sal Barbier was Sal's my mentor. Sal. Remember when Sal?
I remember Sal.
I was trying to get. Why did I dumbass? So I was trying to get. Bessie obviously does some help with us on the interwebs, and I was trying to get Sal some help for aesthetics.
Yeah, you introduced me to Sal. I'm like, we all played football
together. On that team. That's a total dad brain. Damn.
This is so many people. I still train. I trained boxing with Bam.
Oh yeah, so, Bam. Yeah, I just seen him not too long ago.
Yep. So I still train with him, and it's pretty cool. And the one game that we obliterated the team was it was against Michael B. Jordan.
Oh yeah.
We crushed him.
Dude, you got these nice boxes, these huge boxes, fiberglass boxes.
Yeah.
With all your stuff in there.
Fitted.
I remember being Kevin Delaney. We left because was Kevin on my team? Nah, but we went together. And we had definitely had a few too many to drink, and we got back like to the crib. And we're like looking at the stuff, like we really thought we were in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
It was like any given Sunday.
They made it seem like that. I mean, I still have my cleats. I have some of my socks. I got my gloves. Like, if anyone wants to lace up, I'm ready to go.
Right.
But do you remember how brutal it felt the day after playing? We all got these cleats on. Them cleats were the last thing any of us needed to be wearing. You should have you needed to have turf shoes.
Yeah.
Not like football cleats. My body would be so sore. And like my lower half would be like numb. It was like there was no reason to be trying to cut. Cats were out there getting hurt. Bam broke his
Bam
leg.
Totally messed up his leg. And then Blue, I remember like he had his like I think like his tooth went through his lip.
Oh
yeah,
it was brutal.
It was It was real brutal. So like you're like scuffed up, but I mean I don't know how it didn't happen again. No, there was no other.
Oh, the next games though were like show up, play the game, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, everybody's like party. It's over.
Yeah, and then they never did that again because I think so many people.
It was the best worst idea ever.
Oh man, yeah.
I went to run a route one time. And got nailed. And I get up and I'm like, oh, for sure I'm fighting this guy. And the dude squares up and I look over and Devin and my daughter's on the sideline. I'm like, what are you doing, yo? Like you cannot be about to fight this guy. This guy just did a This same guy just did a partnership with Nas and Kendrick. He just started a music label. And I'm like, that was the level of people in there.
Yeah, he did play.
And I had to like, I didn't know who any of these people were. Like I had to find the guy and be like, yo, I'm sorry, dog. Like that was out of character, out of context. Like, you know, just I didn't want my knee to get hurt. I wasn't trying to lead the flag football league with a torn ACL.
See, you're kinder than me because I remember I was hanging out with one of my friends and she's like, I think my friend knows you. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, she played football with you. And she said, you were really mean. I said, she must have lost. That's what I said. And I was all, and she shows me her. I was like, yeah, I definitely pulled her flag and threw it on the floor in front of her. I was like, 100%. I did that. Funny. I was like, I remember her face, everything. But yeah, no, when I don't like to play to win. I like to play so I make sure this person loses. I'm like insane.
They would send you fire photos afterwards. Like they say, so obviously like bait you into like the social media circulation of it.
But you look so good.
They were like,
you look so
I'm definitely
good.
posting this.
I was like, yeah. Even when I'm dating, I'll tell people like, yeah, I used to play football. And the guy's like, when? Like, when did you? I was like, oh, with Nike, you know?
Yeah. I had a fire photo burning Wale. I was like, yeah, you ain't shit. The fuck you. I remember hearing that they said the New York one, because they had an LA one. Mm-hmm. The New York one apparently ended in like a massive rumble.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that was just like, it just ended.
It's done so.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. That was the last one.
That was it. Yeah. But the LA one, I think it got so hot. They were like, all right, let's bring it to like New York so they could see. But
different audience.
Yeah. It's a different audience. I mean, LA, you're playing with like celebs, you know, and industry people that everyone went on to like do great things. So
we were bringing in ringers. We needed a quarterback, and my buddy was like, "Oh yeah, I know this guy.
I know this guy.
This is like really what happened." He was like, "Look, he was a quarterback in college, but he was also a member of God, what was Tupac's? Oh, he was an outlaw." I'm like, the fuck, we're about to have a outlaw quarterback, you know? And then he couldn't play. He only played for a couple of games, and they were like, "What are we gonna do? We lost the quarterback." Yeah. It was funny, man.
Good.
Very seriously.
That was a great expecerience. We'd be out there practicing on like Wednesdays.
Practice. I forgot we did practice.
That's so nutty.
We took it serious because
everybody beat up.
You do not want to. I mean, we did, but like you don't want to lose in front of like everyone who came to watch. I remember at Platinum, they bring out their cars and everything. It's
I think we got beat by them in the playoffs, but we beat them early. We were better than them.
Yeah. That's the thing. We were. I don't know why we were good.
Team,
we were good. We were stacked.
This I got cooked this one game like 3 or 4 times. And the kid that was cooking me, he was like a little huskier. And so I'm just like in my ego and I'm saying dumb shit to him. And he's every time I talk more shit to him, he cooks me again the next drive. And then here, this kid was, him and the quarterback like went to Beverly Hills High together. Like they'd been throwing touchdown passes with each other for years. Yeah.
So you ain't going with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they were a little younger too. They were probably like only like 3 or 4 years out of high school. So they still had that.
They got that movement.
Yeah.
So this was 10 years ago. We played football together.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine trying to move your body now.
I can still do it.
Hold up.
I'll train. I'm down. I'll train. I'll do it.
It was a cool little, like, it's almost like a university. Like we've met a lot of cool people throughout the course of that.
It would have been a good reality TV show.
Oh, it would have been great. Yeah.
If like social was what it is now and they had done
video
that,
content and everything.
Out of here.
Oh,
it would have been out of here. You would have seen all the other brands try and replicate that for sure. There would have been like a soccer league with Adidas, like so much stuff because it inspired people to get active in like an unlikely, unconventional way. And it's co-ed.
Yeah.
It was co-ed. That was like another thing that we were all playing together.
Nike LA.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, oh yeah, here, take this, like, whatever, $750 and just go do something with it. And that's what they did. Mm-hmm. That was awesome though. But yeah, thankful that we met through the course of that.
Yeah.
And then over the course of the last 10 years, one person who's always been front and center championing us after whatever she deems a success has been yourself. So we appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
And that's when I know, honestly, there's like a handful of people I know if a project has registered the way I hope it register, if they reach out to me, and you are one of them. There's a handful of people, because I know all of the different things that you work on. So it's like, I can't imagine within all of the things that you got to filter through. If something makes its way through there,
catches my eye,
I know it was a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my biggest gift, I don't even think I know, it's like a knack for talent, like seeing talent and then being able to like vision with them. So I see and obviously what you've been doing, what you guys have been doing is a success. So I don't think the eye's wrong.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The funniest thing, so when I was kind of, I try to do some research before people come on. And then I'm like looking at everything that you've done over the last 15 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm like,
timeline.
Yeah, no, I got to go all the way back. I'm double checking LinkedIn.
Yeah, the timeline. Yeah.
See what those recommendations are saying on there. Is that the LinkedIn? Is that what they give, recommendations?
Yeah.
Or you can get like, but it's like, it's a trip to me. It's a reminder that I'm old. Because I'm like, in the digital space that you work in, I'm always like, damn, what were we doing before this existed?
We're outside.
We were.
Yeah, we're outside.
Socializing with people.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, how come we weren't handcuffed to social? Like, there we had MySpace and we had those early years of Facebook and Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I thought, like, these are great tools for information sharing, but we're not completely handcuffed to it. I'm just like, I can never really wrap my head around where that switch was.
The cell phone, this thing.
I think it's a cell. I think it's a cell. It's a cell phone.
It's a cell phone.
Just as like technology gets better and gets faster. Like, think about, do you remember when music went from like the CD to your iPod?
Oh yeah.
And then from your iPod to your iPhone.
Let me upload this to the computer. And then let me plug in the iPod.
Yeah. So with social, it went from like, all right, you see everything on TV and hear everything on radio, and then more technology came around. So then there's like the iPod, the iPhone, and then as those adapt and kind of even like merge together. Right now, I mean, you could watch Netflix on your phone. You don't have to watch it like on a TV.
Yeah.
And when you watch it on a TV and you say TV, it's not necessarily like the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
You're not like pulling up cable. I mean, you might, but like you're pulling up.
I just got rid of cable for the.
Here you go. It's happening.
Just got rid of it. Just like I refuse to get rid of cable and I'm like looking at the bill and I'm like,
absolutely not.
What am I doing?
Yeah. I'm not spending this. Yeah.
It's insane.
Now, and with social, it's just more integrated into your life.
Yeah.
So you're checking like, you know, what your friends are doing, whatever interests that you might follow, what are other brands doing, you know? So people have a heavy reliance on it because it's also instant.
Yeah.
So I can see it now. It's real time. It's happening, you know?
It's just the crazy part.
Then the other part I always try to wrap my head is like, can something, can an idea, can a brand, like, can you exist without it? You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
absolutely.
We came from a place where we weren't handcuffed to this thing. Why do we feel now that we got to be in order to, you know?
I love that question. And I love when people ask me, they're like, oh, should I deactivate my socials or should I just leave? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what? Why would you say that? And I'm like, because you can live without this. Yeah. It's just about whether one, you could sit with the discomfort of having that FOMO and not what's going on. And then the other part is being able to sit down and critically think of other unconventional ways to do that and or to like be successful with whatever it is that you want to share, what you want to do. You look at people like a Kendrick Lamar, right? Who will just use his socials for promotional hits and like things that he wants to do when he wants to reach a number of people. But it's like, I'm not going to see him going to the grocery store or him hanging out with his friends unless someone else has photographed it and publicized it. And if you want to build a brand, it takes a lot more like critical thinking and a lot of thought about how you're going to break formats, how you're going to think outside the box to get people's attention. Mm-hmm. I think it's a fun challenge. I think it's fun, but I also think that digital is a great place to connect and it's global. So a lot of people don't really remember that. Yeah. For example, that skateboarding brand in Nigeria. That I sent you.
I just was talking to them the other day. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm in love.
I was blown away.
I'm blown away by this brand and the clothes are cool. And then I'm like, they're not shipping to US. I need this. So I got to go over there and get it.
That was sick. Yeah. That's the epitome. And that right there has always been the thing that I enjoy the most about social media is that connectivity. Yeah. You know, it was like the ability, like when I think of like Twitter back in the day, it was like, all right, I can follow these news outlets and all right, boom. If I'm not watching TV, I can get the information, you know. Facebook I felt was like interconnected with people. MySpace was more so like kind of just like shameless promotion, you know.
Some music too.
You know, yeah. And then it's like where we are today, it's like all kind of
mumbo jumbo.
Mumbled together. Yeah. It's an interesting time. I mean, I take breaks. I'm not on there all the time, but the connectivity is really important. And when you like how you reference Twitter when it was called that.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, I feel like that's how you. No one's calling it X. No one's calling it that. Yeah. But you know, back on those days,
X don't even sound right.
It doesn't sound like it's the worst. Yeah. But back on there, you know, you said you would follow like the news outlets, but then also like regular people turned into like quote unquote journalists because of sharing things in real time. So you can look on there and you could see things happening or like what they're doing. I think that's powerful. Like I can go on there and I could see what's happening in other countries in real time, you know? So it's like the AFCON right now and all the Super Eagles Nigerians just won, you know, for soccer. And so I'm seeing people like celebrate all over the world in different countries, which is really cool because other people are resharing or I'm seeing it happen on Threads or on Instagram. And I love that because I could stay connected to people when I'm like in my home or like in my bed or like, you know, when I maybe don't want to go do it out and like face to face.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Before you became immersed in the digital world.
Yeah.
Mount St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Where is that located at?
Yeah. That's like a small college down here by USC that I went to, and I got my MBA. And my brother I think he had just gotten his MBA at Carnegie Mellon.
Oh, get out of here, damn.
Yeah. And
where's that, in Pittsburgh?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. It's somewhere on the East Coast.
Yeah, I believe it's Pittsburgh.
And
that's a very prestigious school, correct?
Yeah, he also went to Berkeley.
All
and
right.
He also has a certificate from, I think, Duke.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He's a real scholar.
He's a professor now. And
what were all his studies in?
Oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me. But
I'm sorry.
His first degree from Berkeley was the first class of computational engineering.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Computer engineering?
Yeah, computer engineering. Okay. Yeah. And my dad is a civil engineer. And then I'm the other one that works in tech. Everybody else, my mom, my sister, and my other sister, they're all nurses and they work in healthcare.
Get out of here, damn.
Yeah.
Complete opposite.
Yeah, like branded Nigerian family, stereotypical.
Growing up in the IE, what pulled you to Mount St. Mary's, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be flat out honest. I was like, I don't want to go and work and be the CEO of nothing or for somebody, just very rebellious young person. And I was like, but I love business. And at the time I was working for the CEO of LA Models. I had been an agent there. And he was like, oh, come work on my businesses. You're really smart. I need to shift things around anyway here. So I helped him operate his 5 businesses. And I just remember there was one day, he has really bad handwriting. And he's like, can you help me write this check? And I was like, for sure. So I'm writing a check. He's like, it's my last mortgage. And he's like, write 25,000. And I was like, what? Like, this is some huge mortgage. Like, what kind of house is this? And then he was like, oh, make sure you collect the rent from the buildings. And I realized that he owned the 7700 Sunset building that we were in.
Damn.
But it housed all his businesses. So Exclusive Artists, Exclusive Casting, LA Models, and then the New York office was different. So all those businesses that he owned paid him his rent. And I said, what is this game? I got to get in this game. Yeah. It's like, it's not just real estate. Like, this is business. And then my brother had just got his MBA. So I was like, I got to do this. And I'm not going to pay like $200,000 for a fancy Ivy League degree. I love reading. I read religiously. Like, it's actually pretty insane. And so I was like, I'll just teach myself. Like, I'll take this as like my thing. So while I was at LA Models, 2 weekends out of the month, I did like this intensive program. I think it was like 16 months or something. So I'd be at work from 9 to 5. And then on the weekends from 8 to 5, I would do class. And then I had this, like, I loved music and I was bored and I needed gas money. I wasn't bored, actually. I needed gas money.
Yes,
and so right. So I got this job at a music studio, Larrabee. And then Saturdays and Friday nights from 6 to 2 a.m., I'd work at the studio.
Monday through Friday in the office, Saturday, Sunday during the day, school, Saturday, Sunday night.
Friday, Saturday
night.
Studio.
Whew, man.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Hustler.
Yeah, I was hustling, but it was information, like just learning in real time, you know? That's my, like, the critical thinking part of engineering. That's like, I do it with like information and business. So like awesome. Crazy.
Yeah.
What year did you finish there?
I finished, I think it was 2013. Yeah. Cause that's right before I went to Revolt TV.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kenny Burns.
You were
working for Kenny there?
Yeah.
Working with Kenny or for Kenny? What?
I mean, I like to say I was working with Kenny.
Yeah. What's he say?
I was working for Kenny.
Kenny's awesome.
Yeah.
Kenny, I was in Atlanta, and I was working for a company called Gourmet, and we had a shoe with a star print all over it.
I love it.
And this is the funniest shit though. we were doing a thing with Jeezy, and we were at Wish, and this guy comes up to me. And he was like, what you got on, some truck fits? And I I've only got a handful of moments where I'm like, somebody asked me something like that, and I'm like so embarrassed and like insulted and like just ego hit. And I was like, who is this guy asking me if I got truck fits on? And this is like day 1 or 2 in Atlanta. And mind you, for the next like 6 months, I spent a lot of time in there and got to realize that this guy's like what's it when you go into a restaurant, the guy that's the maitre d', or the guy's like,
I like that word. I've never heard it.
I believe that's the right word. I might be wrong. You know, Kenny is like the host of Atlanta, but he's got an extensive music background. Yeah. Like it's very, very extensive. In the liquor world, and he's done a lot of fashion shit. So it's like, you know, it's like
it was the guy.
It was the guy. The fuck you think I got some truck fits on? The guy, you know. and then there would be nights where like we would go do like a Jeezy function, and like it'd be way too much, and people would be like hounding Jeezy, and I'd go sneak into like Kenny hosts like every nice night in Atlanta. And I'd be like with him in the booth or something. So like, shouts to Kenny. He's worn our shit a lot over the years.
For sure.
Yeah. You know? He is working with him was a lot of fun. It was probably the most fun I've had at a job like ever. Also working at Revolt TV was like a real unreal job.
And that was when they were West Sunset past Sunset Plaza and stuff. Yeah.
And because we launched a television network, but we launched the social before there was even a product.
Damn.
So talk about brand marketing. And then a lot of people don't know, but I was the voice behind the Twitter for like the first year. So I was the one talking, having the conversations, deciding what we talk about, what we say, when we say it, how we say it, formulating the voice. So I had to be very ingrained in what was going on in culture at the time, music news, you know, everything, and have an opinion for the company on it.
That's a dicey... Oh, sidebar, we make hella shit for Kenny too. What am I saying? These things, yeah. But it's interesting how these brand, like, you know, we're talking what, 2014?
2014, yeah. Yeah, that's when we launched, 2014.
So like to think it's pretty normal now for companies and brands and teams to give people the liberty on socials to speak
That's
actively.
That's what you see right now with like the Gen Z people. Like, I know my kid tweeted that. Yeah. You know?
It's crazy that like to think, I don't know. I would never want that position, because it's like you could say the right thing, you could say the wrong thing, you could say nothing, and that could be the wrong thing, or you could say the right thing that might not land the right place.
I mean, there was a couple of times I was like, "Can you come in my office?" You know, and I was like, I had to like stand.
They said that to you?
Oh yeah, like they're like,
what do you mean by this?
100%. But like, okay, I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about it so much before I did it. And then I was like, we have to make this cool. So, you know, and then I was working alongside Chris Roy. Shout out to Chris Roy at the time too. And he was running the Instagram. So we were like partners. Like, you know, he'd show me things I don't see, you know, and vice versa. And that was also like the magic of working with Kenny, is like just working with someone who knows a whole lot more than you do. Mm-hmm. And then they also accept that vice versa as well. Like, dang, this other person knows a lot of stuff that I can't see. But then you link up with them and you become like a real strong partnership unit, like I'm looking at, you know? So how
did that position come to be?
Oh my goodness. It was so funny. I'm very, very lucky to be surrounded.
Fresh out of college.
Not really. Right. I was 3 years out of college. Okay. Yeah, I was 3 years out of college. But the position with Kenny or the position with Revolt?
Both.
Okay. Position at Revolt.
And tell us which one came first.
Yeah, position at Revolt. I mean, I saw the behind the music, and I think it was either on Uptown or Bad Boy Records, where I just saw, I think, where Andre Harrell was like the focal point of whatever I was watching on VH1. And I'm just like sitting there in awe, like, man, this guy developed all this talent for all this music that we listened to. And then it passed on through all his artists. I said, this is so cool. I want to do this. I went on and applied, and someone called me in.
No way.
Yeah. And I ended up getting the job because I had helped the CEO of LA Model start his social. So I was like, yeah, I could do this. And then I had the music background of working at the studio. I was like, yeah, I've worked with music artists before. I know how to, it's fine. And
you didn't have to have no one to call in any recommendations or referrals. Like, yo, Pete, such and damn.
Nothing. And
that's cold.
And I used to work at Internet BT, and I used to intern for Dr. Dre at Aftermath Records. Man. So I had all of that coming in. They're like, all right, she's legit. She could do this.
Yeah.
Like at the time, where else are you going to find that?
Yeah.
You're not going to find, that was the other thing. I had the confidence. I was like, you're not going to find another person. Yeah. I did it already. You need me.
I know what I did.
Yeah. I know what I did. Yeah. And then working with Kenny. So I transferred from working with social to the brand marketing side, and like, he's king of brands.
Yeah.
So that came about because my other OG, Tuma Basa, shout out to him. At the time, I would always go in his office, and he was music programming. So he was the one who was in charge of all of music videos that you would see. And he used to do this for like, I think MTV Jams before. So I'd be in his office, be like, I don't like this one or this. Yeah. What about this song? Why aren't we playing Kalani? And he's just like, who's this girl?
Yeah.
But he listened. And so we'd have these conversations. And then he introduced me to Kenny. When Kenny came on, Kenny's like, I'm looking for someone. I'm like, well, I just finished my MBA. And Tuma told him. And that's kind of how it got started.
Amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
How long were you over there for?
3 good, long enough years. 3. And I left as the consumer brand marketing director.
That's cool.
Yeah. Or no, consumer marketing director. My title changed a couple of times because it's a topsy-turvy place, as we all know and can see. But yeah.
Yeah. At that point, I was only 2 blocks over at Sunset Plaza. We had a little nook office space underneath Oliver Peoples.
Yeah.
I would always see Kenny over there. Yeah.
You're always going to see him.
Yeah.
Like if there's clothes there, you're going to see him there.
He was wearing our stuff even back then.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
It's so funny, yo.
It's how everything aligns and it's all together. Yeah. It's pretty, I mean, those times you just cannot duplicate what we got to do. I mean, I got to work with everybody, and if I haven't worked with them, I've worked on a project or something for them, which is kind of wild. Like the first project that they had me work on at Revolt, because it was a company, I think of like less than 30 people at the time, was like Cassie's last mixtape.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was like the project that I worked on. And then we did 2 tours there. So marketing the company with cable, you have to like get distribution in certain cities. So we had a tour to the different cities that we needed distribution. And that was like really a lot of what I got to do with Kenny. And then marketing the Revolt Music Conference, which was insane.
That was probably a blast, but gnarly.
Can't even describe it. Like the first year.
So was it in New Orleans one year?
No. That was where the tour went. But Revolt Music Conference was in Miami.
All right.
So I had to spend 2 weeks in Miami, guys. 2 weeks in Miami. Okay. Almost lost my mind. But when I tell you every heavyweight from music was in there and you could just buy a ticket and go. But I mean, DJ Khaled was there. I mean, they're walking around Fontainebleau, talking to people. I think the CEO of Glass Note Records at the time. That's when L.A. Reid was also there. And Neil and I, when we were helping curate who was going to be there, I was like, I remember this. I was like, what's that one guy you always retweet on Twitter? I think he
I love questions like that.
Produce. I'm like, Neil, he's like, Neil's like looking at me. I'm like, yeah, there's one guy. I think he like, he always has like a good eye on music. He's like, oh, Sycamore. And I'm like, that's who should be on the panel with L.A. Reid and all the other, and Khaled,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure the CEO of Glassstone Records. And that is how that panel came to be. And like the rest is like history.
That's incredible.
Yeah, after, because that's how him and like that everything just kind of like took off at that point. And then there was people from like around the world there. SZA, I believe, performed. I think Travis Scott performed. Like, you couldn't.
2014-ish, 15?
Yeah. You can't. A Cardi B too. Those first 2 years, like it was, if you want to be in the music industry, just like that's where you should have been.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were all promoting this through social media.
Yeah.
So if you're not online, how are you going to see it? Unless you were local or someone told you or a friend of a friend.
Yeah. Social media.
No, that's like, yeah. I mean, it's a good segue because probably about a year or two later, I would say about.
Mind you, I was still playing football too.
Yeah. But a year or so later, I'm working in Venice. And you're like, yo, I'm in Marina Del Rey.
Yeah.
Come check out the office that I'm working at now. And I like, okay, this is interesting. And I pull up and it's the Instagram office. And I'm like, what the fuck is Instagram? You don't even like, and at the time, or maybe even more so now, you just think to me, I'm just like, it's in the air. It's like not even like this. They don't have a building. They don't have real employees. It's so big. It's like, it's like some space shit. But that was your early when you had.
Oh yeah. 2017. Yeah. 2017. I started there. I don't know. I thought it was like a magic trick. I didn't think it was really real.
That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. I thought I did not, I almost didn't take the job, which was the funny part. And I just took it.
Why? Because of how far in the west side it is?
Because I was just like, do I really want to work in tech? Like, is this what I want to do? But every interview who I spoke with, the person, I was like, oh, they get my speak. They understand. I can learn. And it felt like going into a doctorate program or something.
How many interviews?
Oh, I mean, it was 10 interviews across 4 months.
Damn.
Yeah.
God damn.
Which was probably too much.
How much information, like how many different people and questions?
Like, you want me to repeat myself again?
Yeah. It was definitely a lot of depth. You know what I mean? But going in and it was insane. It was insane. I got to work there at the time that the founders were there. So got to meet them, work on projects like.
This is before they sold?
Before they left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they had already sold and it had already been integrated into the company, but it was small. This is when it actually operated independently and it wasn't under what is now Meta.
It seemed, when I look back on it, when I think like where you invited me to, it seemed relatively little.
It was little. I was like, okay, so this is just the LA office. And I was like, yeah, these like 12 desks right here are all the Instagram people. And he's like,
it's okay. We're still making billions of dollars.
That's what I'm saying.
Just right here.
Yeah, it was a small infrastructure at the time, but it's been an insane journey. It's just been insane.
Well, I think we can all see the growth and the journey that we've all gone on it together.
Everybody. You guys are like driving the ship,
trying to maneuver.
I mean, yeah, I think it's changed a lot of people's lives, and I think it's changed a lot of the way we look at creativity.
Yeah,
the way we look at artists, the way we look at talent, the way we look at our interests, everything. But I think the greatest gift it's given to me is being able to just meet and then help so many people. I feel like that has just been one of the reasons that's kept me there. It's just like, there's always someone to help.
That's awesome.
Like that's like all my job is just like helping people figure out how to strategize and be creative using, the platform for what's most often their business.
Yeah.
So I like to help people make money.
But it's like getting out people's dreams too. It's like that's the coolest. That's got to be the coolest
favorite
thing. And the most
part.
self-rewarding
Absolutely. Because you're self-actualizing when you get out your dreams, when you get out your creativity. And, it's not easy to find that side of yourself and express that side of yourself and like that authenticity. And then that develops and that changes. And then you want other people to accept it. And then how are you going to share it? And so there's a level of comfort you have to have. And then on top of that, there's a openness.
Hold on, before you go anywhere.
Yeah.
The comfort and the openness.
Yeah.
How often do you find people or things that you instantly, it registers to you how special those things are, but they're people that the vulnerability in which you have to put forth in order to put yourself all the way out there. Do you find yourself coaching people through that experience?
That's my job. That's like my unofficial job. And not everybody does my specific role like that. But that is something that I learned through being an agent and being a talent manager. Because you have to make people feel safe enough to like be themselves. I think I'm lucky because I can see authenticity and I have like certain ways I gauge for it. And so, yes, I get to find it pretty often. And I know when the talent is excited, when they know exactly why they're showing up on the platform and what they want to share. Usually their hurdle is how. This is how.
Yeah.
Because there's multiple ways to do that, Yeah. So when you're visioning and you have this idea of a t-shirt line or a design, it's the how.
Yeah.
It's not if you want to, you do, but how.
Do you ever find people that maybe it's like artists or something that it's not necessarily like commercial? So they're like, rather than how, but like Bessie, why?
Yeah.
And you got to tell them why it's
why it's important.
Yeah.
Uniquely, nothing is like usually weird to me or like off the cuff. Cause
you've heard it all.
I've heard it all. I've seen it all, and I've seen a lot. And I just personally get really excited when someone is excited about whatever they're bringing to the table. Yeah. I mean, for a period, there was a really hot time when we were having these talent that were just super into animals. Or it's like another, creator that is like super into their pet's life. So they like just document, but how am I supposed to kill that joy?
I'm on my wildlife kick right now. My feed is like a lot of animal shit.
There you
like
go.
All sorts of animals too.
There you go.
And my daughter will be like, "Oh God, Mom, Dad's watching videos of fucking pandas right now or something,"
Yeah. So it's like
that's so funny.
Yeah, you're sparking joy to someone else, or usually, I had a unique call the other day with a fashion designer. She's a young fashion designer. And she's just going through some personal stuff, but she's like, my fans and community keep asking for me. How can I share myself without, revealing too much about my private life? How do I stay in contact with them? And I thought, okay, well, yeah, what I know of another illustrator, this other Black girl who's an illustrator and she makes these cool designs. I was like, what if you collaborated with her to figure out a version that looks like you that then become like, a caricature or something that can be made into like 3D motion so it could just illustrate you. So you could still have your voice, but you don't have to lose your privacy. And she's like, wow. I was like, yeah, I'll connect you two. You two figure it out. That's part of like the how, or, figuring out getting over those roadblocks and not putting them on yourself. Cause people are like, oh, I can't. My job is to show you, yes, you can. And this is how you could do it without losing any of your authenticity to yourself.
That's amazing.
God connector.
That's like my least favorite word, Jared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't say sorry.
Thought connector?
No,
Dot connector.
Dot connector. All right. I like thought connector.
I like thought connector.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's what he said.
Oh, I thought you said dot.
Well, now I said that.
No, I like that.
Thought
Okay,
connector.
thought connector. I'm into that.
I don't have my phone, but there was something I wanted to read that you had said in Cut magazine.
Oh, I think I know what
Not
it is.
LinkedIn.
No, this is moving past LinkedIn. Well, I guess it was twofold. Obviously, like I understand and see a lot of stuff that you do with Instagram and stuff that you helped us out with. And I'm sure for other people. But this interview was particularly moving into being assistants for Black beauty brands and black fashion brands on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm like, for one, how is this taking so like long to find that level of support, and for them, these companies to realize like you got like to have people such as yourself in there. But what has that journey been like for you? Man. Particularly on the fashion. On the beauty. It's the fashion component is one thing. Mm-hmm. The beauty part is what like really hit home with me, especially with having a daughter and understanding seeing her grow into a young lady. Yeah. But then like understanding the differences for Black women particularly, and those nuances like, I just was curious if that journey is something you're able to speak on, because what you said is it all starts with the Black woman. Yeah. And I was like, damn, like you haven't read that interview. I was like, yes, absolutely true. So
yeah. Well, I was the first Black woman ever hired in my role globally, which was already something else. And so for a long time, or for a period of time in my specific role, I was like the only Black person. So there's just going to be some things that I see that my colleagues just can't see. Right. And at that time, YouTube, the audiences with video was like growing.
For the beauty world in general.
And I was hired prior to coming to Instagram. I was the director of a talent management company that I was managing on my own with, the accounting reporting into me, management reporting into me, and I was reporting to the CMO of a company. So I had that background, and I had visibility into the beauty market. And the Black beauty market was just super underserved. And these young women had followers. Yeah. Prior to that, what I did was my mindset was like, I'm going to make young Black female entrepreneurs. So the majority of the people that I managed were Black, and nobody was getting the money. And I knew, because I had worked with so many different talent and I was just privy to different deals, the pay disparity was just astronomical. Yeah. Just astronomical. And also, it was a new space. It was like the Wild Wild West. Yeah. When I left Revolt and I went to go do that, people were like, you're going to leave to go work for YouTubers? Now I don't look so crazy, do I? Mm-hmm. In multiple ways.
That was another I told you so moment.
Yeah.
Referenced
100%.
Yeah.
I told you so moment. So at Instagram, I was like, access to, really see what is going on through data. And I think it was even more important and critical for me to make sure I was always working with a diverse range of talent, because it's fun to be challenged to work with people that don't look like me, and also work with people that look like me. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm just winning. But I think specifically at Instagram, working with Black talent, I just got so much joy out of seeing other Black people be put in position to do. and have the same opportunities as people who like, you know, they aspired to be like,
Mm-hmm.
and I put them in play quick.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're not waiting 5 years, 2 years. It's like, no, I have this deal now, and you fit. And then opening up the eyes of, you know, my colleagues and the company to be like, there is a whole culture here where we could do certain things, like the NAACP like Image Awards brunch. I remember bringing Black beauty creators to that, and the stars were going up to the talent like, oh my gosh, I follow your stuff.
Damn, that's sick.
This is insane. And so they're coming there thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet this person. This person already knows them.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's
it's
so cool.
It's the opposite. Yeah. And then on top of that, to get to represent a brand that not everybody gets to represent or like work with and do things for. So it boosts your career like crazy. Yeah. That affinity and closes that equity gap. You know, it's like it's minimizing it as much as I can. And then just, the collaborations and stuff that they got to do. It's just, I think it's really important. And it's intersectional by interest. So I also worked with gamers. I led that for Instagram and started out the partnerships for that amongst lifestyle. I was the one that introduced our partnership team, like, this is what lifestyle is. And it still gets like convoluted into other things, but it's a person's interest that they, make their central hobby to their platform or their niche, and I would tell them like humor, and they're like, oh, like a comedian. And I'm like, no, just like Black humor. It's just funny. Like this person likes to make funny videos. They don't necessarily consider themselves to be like just a comedian. For example, during 2020, I think it was 2020, where there's this young Black girl in her room in Kenya with like braids and these like old 90s glasses. And she just keeps making these videos. I'm like, this girl's about to go viral. And so I reach out to her. Her name is Elsa Majimbo. She had 12,000 followers then. And I'm like, hey, so like, what is it that, like, how do you do this? She's like, oh, well, I love to write. I said, oh, game over. This girl's writing this stuff. I was like, she's like, yeah, I wanted to go into fashion. Fast forward, been working with her. I was able to bring her to the Met Gala and be the on-air, like, not necessarily correspondent, but on-air, like host, introducing our Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Like, I fought and pitched like hell to have her on that carpet. It was kind of like an ode to her being in her room with her glasses, except now she's on, the red carpet, dressed by Dior.
That's sick.
Debuting these glasses, like getting paid for it. And it was just...
And her family's probably tripping.
Oh,
like,
tripping.
Her daughter's out there.
Yeah.
That's sick.
You know what I mean? All for making videos.
Yeah.
But it takes like an insight to see and be a thought connector.
That's right. You were saying when you see it, you just know.
Oh, you just know.
Yeah.
You just know. And like, so where other people are like, oh, this is cringe. It's like, baby, she's at the Met Gala.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, you can't, how do you?
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah. When it touched home when I read that cut interview, it's like, I've got 2 nieces that are mixed Black and white. I've got nephews that are Black and white. And it's like to know. And you've
seen a lot of that because growing up in your family. Yeah.
And it's like to know that there are people like yourself that are making sure that maybe it's an eyeshadow brand or it's a hair product that are, specifically for them. The functionality part, like when you had said, there's differences in skin and everything,
and everything. Like even just the way I retain water moisture when it comes to skincare is just different from you guys.
So that I thought was super important. That, and it's always, that's always a personal thing. So
because you can,
you can
see it too as well.
Well, shit. I think this is a great point to end on.
Okay.
And thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. That was
so much support over the years.
Oh, I love your guys' brand.
Devin's Facebook got taken over.
Oh, yeah.
She saved it. And to the people that think that you're just going to hit Bessie and she's just going to punch in some codes and take care of you, it does not work like that. There are layers and layers of support and at metas.
Yeah,
and
you've had some agonizing days waiting on me. Man.
And I can't even, and there's, when times where maybe if I've hit you for something and I haven't heard back, I take no faults because I can only imagine what that's like. Remember like the check day, you got me the check. People were like, oh, you ain't shit.
I think the gnarliest thing that you've gotten and that I've helped you on was when you got JSP.
JSP was nuts. Name. Yo, yeah.
That's not something, you can't get a 3-letter Instagram.
Can I tell you something?
Ever again.
Do you know how many emails I've had to set up?
They want to buy it.
No, not even buy it. I don't know if there are bots set up to it, but it's literally every 5 to 10 minutes. It's a new notification that like here's your password access. If you want,
someone's trying to jack you. Yeah. That's what it is.
No, this has been going on for years.
It won't
like
stop.
Right now, it's still going.
It's called a high value username. It's not called that for nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
My partner, of a good friend of mine, his name's Ari. Mm-hmm. He got Ari, A-R-I. He's been getting attacked by Ariana Grande fans from the jump.
Oh, that's so funny.
You'll never
offers to buy it, steal it, you name it, and it's like,
it's like, nope.
And I didn't realize how valuable the 3-letter one was.
It is so, it's so.
There's obviously no combinations of 3 letters left, right?
No. And I think if you've had it for years, you can keep it, but moving forward, you can't make one.
Oh, it has to be longer than
a certain.
Dude, I seen a guy I want to say 1 or 2 days ago, he commented on my page. It was Hove, H-O-V. And I was like,
how'd you get that?
I was like, Jay-Z just wrote on my fucking page. I looked at it and it's just like some dude. And I'm like, damn,
he'll never get it.
I'm like, they didn't like, I'm sure at some point Rock Nation has had to have reached out to him.
They've tried.
And he stood strong.
Due to policy, if it's in use, you can't. Yeah, that's why there were certain things where I'm like, there are definitely certain things that are outside my control. I can make a request. Yeah. But JSP
is big.
Yeah.
We got standard issue. Yeah. I think I had hit you, and in this very same day, I think Jared just went and did like the manual thing. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, we got a contact. And he was like, and we got it. Yeah. It was like standard issue is big. But yeah, you've definitely saved our
the JSP one I told you, I was like,
that's crazy.
I don't think I've gotten this from maybe like one other person.
I don't remember who off top or what had it prior to.
But it helps that it's always a dormant one.
Yeah. That helps. Can't be in use or anything like that. And it's it's great for your branding. And I think that's one thing. That's why I'll push. I'm like, so you don't have to have an underscore or something up in there.
That was the one
underscores.
We tried to get Sal Aesthetics, and whomever had it was like, they were communicated to him like, yo, we're still using it. I'm like, you're not posting nothing though. They
DMing. They're doing something behind it.
Yep. They were active enough that we couldn't.
You, though.
I appreciate it. What does the remainder of 24 look like for you?
Oh man.
Maybe we're not done. We're still going.
The remainder of 2024 for me, I've been in a lot of like mental reset to also like figure out what it is about what I know I do best, where I could just do it in more bigger ways. But outside of that, it's this like existing, like being okay with it, just like being, and like not be as so caught up in like the being productive. I had a wild, gnarly last 5 years. And so for me, it's just like, can I sit with myself? Can I be, and a lot of mental recovery. So it's like, it's just being. I want to write. I've been writing a lot more. I have a newsletter that I do that is a lot of fun for me. A lot of reading, hanging out with family. I sound like an old grandma, but that's it. Cause the career stuff for me, I'm not going to lie. I realized how good I am. And I was like, oh, this will come.
There you go.
Yeah. I have all these visions and ideas, so I'm going to do this. So this is like the first year where I haven't really been worried about my career whatsoever. It's more of just like, what do I want to do like today? How do I feel? Because I feel like a lot of people have been burnt out from 2020 and everything that they've gone through and what they haven't processed.
For sure.
And thankfully, I've had resources, I've had people, I've had community, and I have had time to go through that. But everybody has not, you know. So I understand how important like my mental health is, and especially when you apply it to creativity, you know. And that's all I do is I give a lot. That's what I have to do every time I show up for somebody. So how do I give back to myself? And I think that's going to really determine a lot of the stuff that happens with my career.
Do you find yourself, I mean, I got to imagine your position, or do you get a lot of asks that are like, man, you're asking me a lot. Yeah. Outside of like, can you get me a check or can you get me a, like,
I mean, I don't get it. Thankfully, I think I've shielded myself from a lot of the crazy stuff. I think the crazy requests are always people asking me to do things and wanting to pay me. And I'm like, I already get paid. So you don't have to do that. I think those are the crazy ones, but I think I'm okay with giving. Yeah. Cause that's the gift I have. So I can't just keep it stored up for myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't win by not doing for others. I'm not going to win. So I do. I don't mind it. I helped somebody just today that's like, hey, I'm a photographer. I want to get into this event. Can you connect me? Or do you know it? And it was a wild, random, but I did. I researched it and I was like, oh, I'll share it to somewhere else to see if I can help them. Or I'm constantly meeting people I don't know via like Zoom or Hangout, and giving them advice about their business strategy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if they hit me up, I'm like, set up a Zoom next month. And they're like, okay, they do it. And then I'll show up and they're like, whoa.
And how do they find you?
She's a real person.
You know what?
Google.
Yeah. My thing is, if you found me, you did your research.
Yeah.
That's it. If you found me, you did your research. So I should at least read your email and very little I'm going to do is respond. If it's a wild out of pocket thing, I'm not responding, you know?
Yeah.
And some people, they've had to hit me like 2-3 times sometimes, but then I feel like they finally asked me the right question or they got it.
Just has to hit too.
You know what I used to do? When I first started working at No One, that little shoe company, they had asked me to kind of be their PR person. And I'm like, all right, well, the shoes are $1,000. You're asking me to speak to an audience, a press audience of which I assumed at the time I had zero credibility with, and I had no actual relationships with.
Yeah.
So I would go on Esquire, GQ, Bloomberg, Forbes, and I would find articles of things that were relatable to what we were doing in any context. Who wrote the fucking article?
Yep.
Go look at their Instagram.
Fire.
Shoot them a message.
Yeah.
I might lead the message with a picture of Pharrell, but that's going to get me in the door, you know, and then go from there. And I would tell other people in fashion this strategy, and they'd be like, you're telling me this so I won't ask you this. You know, I'd be like, dog, that's what I've done for 3 or 4 years. And some of like the best relationships we've had, like on PR, you know, like the people that I've met that way, and a lot of them are friends now, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know,
you're not afraid to be a person.
Yeah.
So like the same way I love to say that like online can mirror offline. So the same way you're out and you see a stranger, you be like, oh, cool shoes. Like there should be no harm in you doing that on the internet. Yeah. And if the connection connects, they'll connect back.
Correct.
And if they don't, like that's okay. You know, you move on.
What was the bar? Offline what?
Offline can mirror online. Yeah. And vice versa. Yeah. Like they're the same. And that's how I like to think about breaking barriers. So people are like, well, I can't post a 5-minute movie I made online. I'm like, you could post it in 5 parts. So 1 minute. And then you're going to drum more.
They're like,
exactly. You know, but yeah. Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah, you could just break it, but the online and offline, they connect and be human. Yeah. Just don't be afraid to reach out to people. So, there are people that I have not met that I'm cool with, that like, I remember I got connected to, my friend connected me to his buddy that lived out in Puerto Rico. And they're like, you both love business. And we just were friends for like, I don't even know. I think it has to be years because it was in 2020. I just met him for the first time last year. You know,
that's awesome.
Yeah. But like we talk, he knows more about my business than probably some of my other friends.
Damn.
Yeah. And same with him, mm-hmm. But that human connection,
yep.
You know, and then use the digital as a tool to help advance that and help you do whatever it is you're trying to keep that connection be fruitful. That's what, like I was telling somebody the other day how important it was to, you know, if you want to work with a brand, kind of act like you already do. So,
oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah, no. You know what I mean? People, there's a lot of time like, how do I get a deal with Nike? I'm like, well, is Nike in anywhere of your visuals? And they're like, no, I don't want to tag them because I'm like, you're not serious.
Yeah,
you're not ready to play at all. You're already looking to receive something before you give anything.
Act like you already do.
Come on.
Yeah.
These kids got it fucked up out here.
They really do. They really, because I already know how much stuff, Jimmy, you've done for quote unquote free. I don't even want to say free, but even like connected people or been like, yeah, here, do this or this, or information sharing that you might need to do that, where other people might gatekeep.
Yeah. It's interesting because I especially when I think about the kids, you know, when say if I reached out to a kid and the first thing he says is, well, what's the budget? It's twofold. Half of me is like, I come from a space and a time where you really had to, I hate using this term, but pay your dues. Mm-hmm. But then the other time where I've seen youngins work for these companies, and it is it's like free work for the sake of like the brand or the owner just getting over. So I'm like, you know, part of me is like, I like the space that these kids are in because they really know what their worth is and they know what their value is to these brands and they know exactly what the brands need from them, you know? So I'm like, okay, get yours, youngin', you know? The other part where I'm like, yeah, but build some experience into that too. You know, don't always go into everything from because that's going to limit, you know, I've had like photographers who I'm like, you're telling me your day rate is how much? And you only submit how many photos? And you're sitting here talking to my ass and Vernon for work right now. Like, you know, it's like, you know, I'm not discrediting you, but like, man, you gotta.
I think the happy medium there is tact and the human approach. So, and to me, that just comes with being genuine. Well, I don't want to say these people aren't genuine, but tact, human approach, and intention. So instead of, because everyone wants to use that line, what's your budget? You know, but what if you said like,
I'm making a shirt that says, what's your budget?
Yeah.
I've never asked somebody that.
Like that.
I've never said, so what's your budget?
I'll say, when I was talent managing, I'd be like, I like this opportunity. This is what I think the talent could do. X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. This is what our standard rate is for that. And then just see what happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, they come back and they're like, oh, great. And it's double, or it would be like less. And the talent is like, I still want to do it. Cool. But I think, you know, you got to, this is where my business savvy mind comes into. It's just really thinking about your approach, because it's ultimately you want to settle on a handshake. You know, so I want to make sure I want to shake this person's hand and they want to do business. The best way I've heard it is, you know, you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, what's your budget? It's like, don't touch me, actually.
Yeah.
I got a back scratcher.
Yeah. It's like, so, you know, I like when people are like, look, you tell me what you need, I tell you what I need.
Hello.
What's your budget thing? Yeah.
It's like
either you don't like my brand or you don't like me. You know, and that's how I either, if I don't know you and you're like, hey, Jimmy, can you do this thing? Well, it's like, I don't know you, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe, you know, eventually you tell me what the budget is, you know, but if I like what you do or I like you, it's like,
cool. Let's
if that's,
do this.
you know, yeah. So, all right, here's the question. What would a younger Bessie tell a young 20-year-old young woman with the same goals and aspirations of you now?
What would I tell her? I think I would tell my younger self at 20. I thought about this yesterday. That's so crazy you asked me this question. Must be divine. You know what it was? It was like, protect yourself a little bit more. Have some more boundaries. Because I think I was just very much give everything. Everything's gone. Do whatever you want to get all of this, but protect yourself from people, have boundaries for yourself. Yeah, I think it would just be a little bit more of that. And I know I hope it doesn't sound like too much of a downer, but I've done a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had
this is through your experience.
Yeah, it's through my experience. And I just feel like as a young woman, I did so much.
That's what I was going to ask you as a young lady too. How much is that? How much of what you just recommended is in that? Because again, going back to being fathers and mothers having to explain to me, like, you know, these, you know, certain things that you might have oversight, Jimmy, as your daughter.
I mean, I was just a little naive at sometimes, but like I said, I'm so fortunate to just have. I don't have that many female mentors. I have a lot of male mentors, and they're the ones who are like, nah, you're not doing that. And I'm like, why? This is going to be great. They're like, no. Like, okay, I get it, you know? Like I said, like Kenny and Tuma, you know, really like steered me clear. Like Tuma's the one who pulled me into the office, like at Revolt, like, why'd you tweet like this? Yeah. or actually it was this email I had sent, and he was like, you don't send emails like this. This is why. But like people have your back, you know? And I think when you do well, there's a little bit of an ego that comes, and it's just like, you know, power. And thankfully mine was reined in, but yeah, just protect myself a little bit more. Yeah. And I say that also for like future Bessie too. Yeah.
There you go. We'll protect you, Bessie. Thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it. This was good. This was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
We appreciate it.
I love coming on here and talking with you guys. And I feel like you guys, I'm sitting with legends, so I'm lucky to be in the room.
Oh, like
I appreciate it,
Bessie.
Enjoy your day.
Appreciate it. You too.